Good morning. Oh, I'm live. Oops. Good morning, y'all. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. It's a mood. Hey. Hey. I'm sorry, y'all. Good morning. 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 Good morning to each of you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Come on into the room. Yes, good morning, Jessica, Irene. Sorry, y'all heard us in the kitchen. I'm sorry, heard me in the kitchen. I'm sorry. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Mardi Gras, Sherry. Good morning, Carla. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let's get on over here to our folks in YouTube land. Sherry, good morning, Jada. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Those of you, Village Keepers, good morning, Rachel A. Good morning, Jada K and Rachel A. You see what I did there? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I have to go in manually and for some reason when I change, I'm sorry, I'll talk to Ari about this. I don't need to talk to y'all about this. Good morning, friends. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Cheryl. Girl, I just made some homemade waffles though, Dr. Jamie. I did. You know, for those of you for whom you have been rocking with PRC since 2016, you will recall that this is how we started in the kitchen. We were in the kitchen and at the home I lived in Atlanta, our house in Atlanta, I had a little island and I used to set my stuff up on the island and make my turkey bacon and my eggs and drink my tea. Y'all like my cup? It says, I'm a doctor. What's your superpower? So yes, we are coming back. We are coming back. Good morning, good morning, good morning, y'all. By way of announcements this morning, as we are getting started, I want to make sure that you all have purchased the book, Dr. Daniel Black's Black on Black. Don't y'all love that name? I absolutely love that name. I don't know if Bob was on this morning, but I love that name, the title of the book. It's like my favorite to date, Black on Black. I need you to be sure many of you have already purchased your book. And if you have not, I want to invite you to go ahead and get it as we should be well into it at this point. But Dr. Black and I have spoken and we have secured a date. I just need to get back with him because it is. I don't even know how to move gently into this announcement to say thank you for all of you all who have prayed for our family and our mother, my mother-in-law. She made her transition on this week. On February 16th, my mother-in-law, Cleopatra Young, transitioned from time into eternity. She is now on her way to the ancestral realm. Ashe, it seems unreal to even say that. And so I just need to make sure that I'm in a space. I believe I will be. I just I need to get back. But right now, Ashe, I hear you, Holy Ghost. Ashe. The first Sunday in March, Dr. Daniel Black, Baba Omatosho Black will be with us here on Pink Rope Chronicles the first Sunday in March. I'll be on location, but I will be on. So the first Sunday in March, Dr. Daniel Omatosho Black, renowned award-winning author, Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Hey, sage, portal through which the ancestors speak, professor, Babalaum, friend, son, brother, father, godfather. Oh, Baba's here. Ashe, 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 Ashe. Hey, Baba. Hey, Baba. Hey, Baba. Hey, Baba. He will be with us. And I want to tell you, I know that y'all know this because if you're with this community, then you are extremely familiar. If you are a village keeper, then you'll know when we, the year before last, when our text was the coming, we took a month and we worked through the coming. That's just one. I can go on. Perfect peace. I can go on. 12 gates to the city. I can go on. They tell me there's a home. I can go on. Don't cry for me. I can go on. This amazing human beings writes books like I am speaking English to you right now. Ashe. And I just want to publicly say thank you to you, Dr. Black, for the ways that you open yourself up and allow yourself, and I want to say possessed. I want to take the negative connotation away from the word possessed, but the way that you allow the ancestors to possess you in order to tell their stories, to recall their stories, to name and rename, the ways in which you lie genuflect. Hey, spirit, my goodness. The ways in which you lie genuflect before the altar and before our ancestors and give to us a sacred text. My mother-in-law, Cleopatra, was also a fan of yours. She was gifted a few of your books, and so she also was a fan. And we look forward. So if you have not received your copy of Black on Black, please do get it. I know that I moved on from that announcement pretty quickly. And I'm starting to feel it like heavily in my chest. I want to acknowledge that I feel that it's possible. I may say more about it in the clearing. Yes. So, yes, that's, yes. Yes, 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 yes. God Mama T Renee is on. Good morning, God Mama T Renee Crutcher. I'm just seeing you all's names is doing me good. Good morning, God Mama T Renee. And for those of you who do not know T Renee Crutcher, my goodness, she's not an Atlanta treasure. She's a national treasure. Ashe. She is absolutely a national treasure. Baba, look at all of the ways that people are speaking. Sister Donna said, "Don't cry for me. Help me minister to my 78-year-old uncle who finally said out loud to me he was gay." Oh my God. Dr. Black, oh my God. Lord, today. Ooh. He was transfigured, Ashe. He was transfigured. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Chelsea. The world-renowned Dr. Chelsea Green, everybody. Chelsea Green from the Chelsea Green Project. For those of you for whom this is your first time coming, let me just move my way. Yes, Roz. I'm just sort of taking my time, easing in to our conversation. Welcome, y'all. Welcome the new folks. Welcome them in. Let them know we appreciate them. Invite them to the clearing if they want to come. I see y'all over here on YouTube. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning to Lima. Hey, Free. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to all of you. Soon I will send up a link where you all can gather with us as we talk back to the text. Those are our announcements. Also, for those of you who are traveling to Atlanta on your way to the Samuel DeWitt Proctor Conference, safe travels to you as you prepare to get on flights and get all that you need to do. Safe travels. Safe travels, and we will all see one another real soon. Today, in the life of, I'm gonna just take my time, y'all, and breathe through it. Ooh, my chest is heavy. I mean, do you see him, Dr. Black? Ashe. It's beautiful to receive the testimonies while you're still here on this side. Okay? Okay? I'm a witness. I'm a witness of this human being's brilliance and heart and wisdom. Cause honey, can't nobody correct you like Baba Omatosho. Woo, Jesus, honey, Jesus. Ain't that right, Mel Chris? Today in the life of the church, is what is known as Transfiguration Sunday. Transfiguration Sunday. The text that goes along with this Transfiguration Sunday can be found in each of the synoptic gospels. Just follow me. Ashe, follow me as best you can. I'm not going to do a whole lot of stopping and explaining. I'm just going to really move as I am led. And one of the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, the particular text that is for the lectionary, I'm going to read it just in your hearing. It's probably going to be more of in a background frame, in the conversation, but I just want to read it. I guess that's the teacher in me, just for folks to kind of sort of get a context. So Matthew chapter 17, verses 1-9. 6 days later, Jesus took with him Peter and James and his brother John and led them up a high mountain by themselves. And he was transfigured before them, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. And suddenly there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with him. And then Peter said to Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 dwellings here, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. And while he was still speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud a voice said, This is my son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased. Listen to him. And when the disciples heard this, they fell to the ground and were overcome by fear. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, Get up and do not be afraid. And when they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus himself alone. And as they were coming down the mountain, Jesus ordered them, Tell no one about the vision until after the Son of Man has been raised. And while he was speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them. And from the cloud a voice said, This is my son, the beloved. With him I am well pleased. So Transfiguration Sunday in Christendom is the Sunday that is set apart, that is set to acknowledge when Christ was transfigured. Transfiguration means a change in form or appearance. A change in form or appearance. And so here in this particular text, we read of the shift in Jesus's appearance once Jesus goes up to the mountain to engage, he gets swept up in the glory, similar to the way in which Moses, who goes up to the mountain to engage God, and then gets swept up in the cloud of glory, and upon returning down is also transfigured, and upon returning down from the mountain, brings with him the tablets of the law. There is something, it seems like, in this text that happens when folk go to meet God. But not only when he gets to meet God, I said I was going to deal with this text, but here I am dealing with the text. When he goes to meet God, he takes 2 folk with him. But as he takes 2 of his followers with him, 2 ancestors come out to meet him, Moses and Elijah. I just really want to say that the biblical text here, for those of you who do not know, I really just want to say this about the biblical text. The biblical text is really like a book of ancestors, period. Period, point blank. And I really wish that folk, especially Black folk, would really acknowledge and understand our own ancestral lineage, Ashe, our own physiological ethnic ancestral lineage. And I recognize that that is a struggle, especially for those of us who were snatched from the shores of our, homeland, whose ancestors were snatched from the shores of our homeland at the hands of, the Portuguese and the Dutch and the Spanish, and so much and so many more. We can continue to go on, wherein there is a way that we are not able to trace back to our ethnic space. But what is clear here in the biblical text, in both the Torah and the Hebrew Bible, and the New Testament, is that the ancestors, my God, is that the ancestors are central. There is nowhere in this text, y'all don't hear me today, there is nowhere in this text, not just this text in Matthew, in the 66 books that we have, because we do know there are more than 66 books. We do know that these 66 books are a creation of a council that was called together to gather, Ashe, by a particular ruler to sort of provide for us to push forward a type of propaganda, and these 66 books are the ones that fit together well. But we know that the sacred writings are not limited to 66 books. I know, God, I keep saying I'm not going to deal with it, and I just keep going on, y'all. I'm sorry. It's the teaching in me. I just really want us to be clear. I mean, we are talking about having a shift, a change in appearance. And so this text, this story, Jesus's tradition is all about ancestral veneration. Jesus is Jewish, period, point blank. Jesus is Jewish, and there is never a time in the life of Jesus that he is not acknowledging and in many ways honoring his ancestors. There's not one time, there's not one place that you can point to me where Jesus is not acknowledging and honoring his ancestors. Come on in here. There's not one place, not one time when many of the figures are not acknowledging and or honoring their ancestors. You find it and you tell me about it, because I want to see it. I'm telling you, it's not so. He acknowledged the God of who? Abraham, Isaac, he acknowledged this God. He acknowledged this God. Do you understand what I'm saying? And yet we are so hard pressed. We are so hard pressed for many of us to call on the gods of our ancestors. One is because we don't know them. I'm talking about Trans-Fig-Uration. Sidebar. I got caught up this weekend on Friday watching African Queens on Netflix. Let me tell you something. If you don't watch another thing, and some of us already know this history, but there was something about, it's a documentary, but it's a movie in a documentary. It's narrated by Jada Pinkett Smith, and the story is about Queen Njinga. Now, some of us might be thrown off because we usually pronounce her name, given as the way the Portuguese have spelled and pronounced her name, as Nzinga. So we would know her as Queen Nzingha. Oh my God, y'all. I know this is my mother-in-law. So let me just pause for a second, and I'm looking off. I'm in my house, but I'm in a different location from where I usually sit. I am in my dining room and we have an open floor plan, so I can see into my living room and I can see straight out my window. And right outside my living room window is a huge tree. And for the past, ever since my mother-in-law transitioned, this huge, I'm gonna call it a hawk. I took a picture of the bird and I tried to Google to see what it is. So I think it's some kind of hawk maybe. I thought maybe it was an owl, but it was daytime and I'm like, that can't be it. It's some kind of hawk. At any rate, this, every time I've been speaking about her or saying something, the bird comes and flies and sits on this limb right outside, like literally. And then yesterday I saw two of them. So this month, February 14th was my grandmother's birthday. She would have been, she was 101. She is 101 in the ancestral realm. February 28th, 27th is the 5th year anniversary of my father-in-law passing, my mother-in-law's spouse. And so I saw two of them yesterday. And so just here as I'm talking about transfiguration and I'm talking about ancestors, Lord Jah, and the second one just came. These two hawks, I don't know, they're extremely big. They're not eagles, but they're extremely big. Fly. And this tree is not really far from my window. Like if I were over by my window, I could like take the clearest picture. Many times, friend, our ancestors want to remind us that they continue to be with us, that they are here, Ashe, that they are present with us, Ashe. And for those of you who do any kind of knowing, who acknowledge, as some traditions, some African spiritual traditions acknowledge that birds, a particular type of birds, right, Iya Renee, have have a sacred witness, Ashe. They represent the sacred mothers. And so on this Sunday, as here we are talking about the ancestors, that my ancestors would come see about me. Come see about your son, Ashe. You know, the signs are all around, friends. And I imagine even with Jesus going up that mountain, that one of the points may have been for him to just look around and see the signs that were all around in terms of the work that he was called to do and what he was going to do. And the affirmation that the ancestors brought to him was a physical sign that they were present. For Moses and Elijah to show up the way that I just saw these show up, to show up, it physically shifted his appearance. It physically shifted his appearance. Something should happen. Something does happen if we recognize it, when we acknowledge our ancestors. And so transfiguration a change in the form of appearance happens when we acknowledge, when we engage, when we listen, when we hear. It is the instruction, the text says, that the disciples that Jesus carried with him saw Moses and Elijah talking to the transfigured Jesus. Something happens when we fully engage in dialogue, right? Engage in dialogue with those who are on the other side of time. My God. And might this be an invitation? Could it be that possibly why some of us still have the same appearance is because we've not been engaging with our ancestors enough? Yeah. And we've not been engaging with our ancestors enough because the tradition, hey, because we for because we're not using the tradition correctly. What are you saying, Melva? What? I don't know what you're talking about. What are you saying, friend? Like you're going off the what you're going. Where are you? In this documentary, they keep flying back and forth on this tree. Ashe, saying Ashe, daughter. Ashe, I acknowledge your ancestors. Thank you. Thank you, great mothers. Thank you, great mothers. Ashe. The tradition. Ooh, y'all. In this documentary called African Queens on Netflix, it is about Queen Jinga. And now that I know that the pronunciation, I want to say it how it would have been said in the historical kingdom of Ndongo, which we would now know as Angola. Jinga was the queen of or the woman king of Ndongo. She was a brilliant strategist from birth. History tells us that she was the apple of her father's eye, that she was not naturally in line for her father's throne, but her father favored her. And because she did not have to vie for her father's, because her father did not have to sort of control how he showed up for her because she wasn't in competition for his throne, that he was always present, and he trained her as a warrior, and he always complimented on her ability to be in counsel and to think through things. When the Portuguese invaded Ndongo, invaded parts of the continent, and later get to Ndongo, it is Queen Nzinga, the strategist, similar to Ya Asantewa of Ghana. This is Black history, Ashe. It is Queen Nzinga who strategizes because for her, the Portuguese represented an evil force. She did everything she could to try to prevent the Portuguese from continuing to enslave not only folks in the continent, but her particular kingdom of Ndongo. In this documentary, y'all, this is open history. So you all, like, I'm definitely familiar with Queen Nzinga. Like I'm super, but this documentary unlocked something for me as a visual learner that I watched it 3 times yesterday. It's a 4-part documentary. And I'm telling you, while I was driving, I was watching it. While I was in Trader Joe's, I was watching it. While I was at the stoplight, I was watching it. When I got home, was washing clothes, I was watching it. I cannot stop watching this because in this particular documentary, the documentarian talks about how the whole point of the Portuguese raiding the black gold resources of the continent was because they thought that they were missionizing barbarians. That this was a mission of the Catholic Church. So they thought that they were well within their right to not only enslave these people, our people, because they identified them as barbarians who needed to be rescued from their heathen ways of ritual practice. So this documentary, y'all, for those of us who won't read a book, this documentary takes you through the problem with the Catholic Church and the ways that the Catholic Church benefited from black bodies and their introduction of chattel slavery to the continent of Africa. Not that Africa did not already have slavery, but more in terms of like to pay off debt, but there was not chattel slavery, this heinous treatment of black bodies. And so this documentary then lays out this teaching, lays out this history of how Jenga used the church, how she used their Christian practice and eventually first gets baptized because in her attempting to negotiate for the freedom of her people and to continue to be her own sovereign state and to be recognized as a leader on the same level as the King of Portugal and his governor in Ndongo, she gets baptized. But she gets baptized not because she fully believes in this Jesus, as she says, because she acknowledges that if she gets baptized, that they will have to recognize her according to their teaching, that they will have to recognize her. And so she gets baptized, takes on a Christian name. I'm thinking her Christian name is Anna, right? But here's the thing. Even though she gets baptized, the Portuguese, followed by the Dutch, then the Portuguese again, renege on the negotiation. Jenga realizes then that if the governor that was sent from the King of Portugal will not acknowledge her, then Jenga decides that she must appeal to the Pope. So she then starts to write these letters to the Pope, solidifying, saying, hey, then I'll be a Christian nation for you to identify Ndongo as an African Christian state. So she builds churches all throughout the kingdom of Ndongo and has folk baptized. I want you to know, though, this was at the guidance, though, of her ancestors. Y'all don't hear it. You don't hear it. You don't hear it. You don't hear it. Yes, Kyle, Dr. Wooten, it was subversive. It was at the guidance of her ancestors. There was something, I'm probably going to pronounce the name wrong. An Ngoma. And Ngoma, who is the king or the queen's spiritual advisor. The king or the queen does nothing without the spiritual advisor. And what is clear is that the ancestors are a central part of Jenga's political and economic strategy. So the ancestors are guiding Jenga and how to ultimately gain the freedom of her people and the acknowledgement by, yes, going deep down within undercover and becoming subversive, becoming transfigured. But somehow in there, some of us got off of the bus of subversion and we got on the bus of assimilation. Assimilation then, even through survival, has kept us in a state where now our only rescue can be transfiguration. a change in appearance or state of being. Okay, Melva, what are you saying? I'm saying that we have misused the tradition, particularly a tradition that rests solely on the calling of its ancestors, because we have forgotten how to call on our own. That's what I'm saying. What does the prefix trans mean? The prefix trans, prefix meaning those four T-R-A-N-S, which you put before. You have English prefix, suffix, beginning, in. The prefix trans means extending through, extending across. Let's just go. I want to go straight to, let me go straight to what Miriam says. Trans is on or to the other side of, or across, or beyond. It's through, across, beyond. It's transfer, T-R-A-N-S, trans. So to be transfigured is to go across a particular boundary. If I do just a little bit more work, I believe I could probably make a case for Jesus being trans. Some of y'all done got off this live. Some of y'all done got off this live. I am clear. I feel like if I did just a little bit more work, that I could possibly make a case in this whole Jesus's shift in appearance, Jesus's trans moving across particular boundaries, so that ultimately, why does transfiguration happen? Some would argue that the transfiguration happens to prepare Jesus for the resurrection, right? That he has to be in a particular state. So in order to prepare for the resurrection, then this means that he has to experience the death. Or we could also look, I'm no biblical scholar, but we could also consider and look that this whole notion, this whole idea of being trans, that Jesus's appearance shift, and we can just sort of pause on the, his robe became white, and then it was this light shining, behind him. But Jesus tells them, his disciples that are with him, don't tell nobody yet until after this happened, like till after the resurrection, like don't tell anybody, because there is a way in which here is Jesus performing this hidden identity. Y'all Jesus is a trans savior, Baba said. That's it. Let's go right there. Let's stay right there. Gee. This is an invitation. This is an invitation. I'm clear. This is an invitation. This is an invitation, for us to really reimagine, to take the brakes off of this whole, like what sense does it matter? What sense does it make? And what's the point of this? Y'all, for particularly for those of you who worship Jesus and not follow, but what sense does it make to worship a Savior who is transfigured, and one, not to see yourself as trans? I know y'all about to get off here. And not to acknowledge that transfiguration to move across these human constructs and these human boundaries is a necessary part of the call. But if we engaged our ancestors long enough, if we continue to go to them, then we might not have to work so hard in remembering. If we stop forgetting to remember that we ourselves are also portals, that we have the ability to open ourselves and to receive this knowledge and this teaching, I want to show y'all this picture. So I posted this picture on Instagram and on the y'all, I can't even get into Zoom. What in the holy heck is happening? Hold on. So are you kidding me? Hold on, y'all. Just stay right there. Stay right there with me. Don't leave me. Just let me gather this right quick. Lord, today. So I posted this picture on Instagram, and it was a part of okay. I posted this picture on Instagram because it was a part of the, you know, that there's the use of Minnie Riperton's song, Back Down Memory Lane. Ooh, I love me some Minnie Riperton. Anyway, I jumped in on it because I love that song. But this picture particularly that I am showing you shows up for me in a couple different ways. I talk about it in, you know, the manuscript that I'm working on. And I talk about it because it speaks to a particular period in my life that we're trying. So I took the picture on here because if you look down at the bottom of the screen, this thing then been looked at 62,000 times, and I'm saying, what? Did I get caught up in some kind of algorithm? Like, how is this? I don't even have this many Instagram friends. Like and there's like 1,200 likes on it, but it's been seen, it's circulating somewhere like 62.3 thousand times. This one pic, and this is the only picture in my grid that is sort of moving in this way. And so I just started staring at the picture. I'm trying to figure out, then I'm reading the comments, and as I'm reading the comments, people are saying, one person says, you know, I don't know you, Miha. She says, but I really, I really just appreciate the way you look on this picture. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then somebody else says something else, but then two people can say that I am. They're calling me a lookalike to what's her name? Danielle Spencer from y'all remember the show what was that? What's happening, right? What's happening now? And anyway, and so I just kept on looking at the picture, just as I'm looking at the picture now of this little girl. That was my Easter dress. That Easter dress right there was a lavender chiffon, and it had like this little intricate lace, kind of doily lace thing going down the middle with those 4 buttons that you see. You see my hair was braided. That was not my Easter hairstyle, because you know that culturally for many Black folks, you did not wear your church clothes to school because you needed to keep one good outfit for the week. And so this hairstyle was also not a hairstyle that I would have traditionally worn on Easter Sunday. What are you saying, Melva? Underneath this dress, which you also couldn't see, when I wore it for Easter, I had on pretty white tights, and I had on some black Mary Jane little, shoes with the buckle on them. I mean, I had a little white purse and some white gloves. But on this particular day, it was picture day, and I needed to wear something nice. And so my mother said, wear your Easter dress. And I said, I don't want to wear my Easter dress because my Easter dress is for church. And I also don't want to be that dressed up for school. Well, we started looking for some tights. Stay with me, y'all. We started looking for some tights for me to wear with my Easter dress, and the tights that I had worn with it, they had a hole in them, so I couldn't wear them. And the only other pair of tights were these ribbed, R-I-B-B-E-D, these ribbed burgundy tights. Now, burgundy and lavender kind of maybe come from the same wheelhouse, but certainly it's not a match. I had these burgundy thick red tights on with these black shoes on. Here go the bird, here go the mothers again, as I'm retelling the story. That's what y'all keep coming to let me know, is to keep telling the story. Ashe. So here I am with these red ribbed tights on, with this black shoes on, this lavender dress. Hence you have this little upwards, kind of downward smize, not even a smize, kind of frown that I'm giving. One eyebrow raised, one eyebrow lowered. This little girl was in so much pain. This little girl right here was in pain. She was in a situation, in a home that was challenging at times. She was watching things that she had no control of. She was experiencing things that she had no control of. The rage that she was experiencing, she was unable to share. If she did share, there were consequences to it. As a result, even though she was bullied, she began to bully. There is a way in which this baby right here just struggled. She just struggled. And yet, when I look at this picture for me, it also represents a kind of transfiguration. Why? It represents the ways in which my ancestors, the mothers and spirits, were able, even before I understood who they were or how to fully engage them, help me to transcend time in a way that I would be able to survive. This picture then represents transfiguration. You can't see the glory as it talks about in the text, but I see it. I get it. And somewhere in my mind, although I know that it's an information technology algorithmic, some kind of explanation, but in my mind, these 62,000 views, these 1,200 likes for this picture, and I've been wondering, what is it that people are seeing? Like, why are you even clicking like? It's just one picture. It's not even more than one. It's a clip of the song. It's not even the whole song. And the only thing that I'm able to see or to acknowledge is that because folk can identify with the glory in this pic, even if they don't know exactly what they are identifying with. And that's simply what I want to leave us with this morning, is that that our transfiguration, our ability to move across and beyond time and boundaries and those things that have the ability to hold us up, to click us up, to lock us up, to leave us out. Let me tell you something. We will be met by those on the other side of time who will gather us, who will speak to us, who will share with us. And as a result of that meeting, as a result of that continual engagement, we will find ourselves changed. Yes, Dr. Angela, we are being transfigured daily. That little girl then didn't know. I'm a doctor now. No clue. Because y'all, this is what I want you to know is that you may not always be able to see the transfiguration, but others will. Others will. Listen, join us over in the clearing as we talk back to this text. I invite you to come, to be. Thank you, ancestors. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your guidance. Thank you for the ways that you are continuing to show up for us. Forgive us for the ways, for some of us, when we have not called your name, when we have forgotten your name. And even though for some of us, when we don't know your name, we have not been compelled to just sit to honor and acknowledge. Forgive us for the ways in which some of us have become a little spiritually lazy and not doing the work to uncover the mysteries and the truths combined. Forgive us for the ways that we call on the names of a tradition given to us. And forgive us for the ways in which we have forgotten how it was given to us, but that the miracle in it is what we made out of it for ourselves. That we were intentional in the ways in which, particularly in the Black church tradition, that it comes out of a tradition of syncretism, of a blending of what we have brought with us, using what was forced upon us to create a more revolutionary way. For the ways that we have become participatory in our own subjugation. It is the ultimate achievement of oppression, or the ultimate achievement of oppression is an erased memory. The ultimate achievement of oppression is an erased memory. Forgive us. Forgive us for the ways in which we stand with siblings, Jewish siblings, and we can recite and the fathers of their faith, and yet some of us believe that the indigenous spiritual traditions of our people are antithetical, have no meaning. Forgive us, ancestors. for it keeps us disconnected. My God. Yes, Reverend Don, we request permission to be transfigured. And so for the ancestors' names that we don't know, we acknowledge you at this moment. For the ways how that we have been separated through blood, through water and land. But we know that there is a bloodline that runs deep. And so we acknowledge you, ancestors, those who lived a particular way, who lived valiantly, those who were contributors to societies, those who were builders, those who lived with integrity, who loved community, those who, as Dr. Renita Williams says, were the artisans of their community. We acknowledge you in this moment. Reconnect us. We need you, and we call on particular capacities. We call on the capacity of strategic visioning, like Jenga, like Ya Asantiwa. We call on the characteristics that represent what some of our ancestors from regions in Nigeria whom they would call Olodumare, the ultimate supreme being. The characteristics that represent Olodumare in the form of the wind, of wisdom, of thunder, of lightning, of clarity, of sweetness, of birthing, of rivers, of waters. Oh, we call on these entities and of the great mothers. My. Some who will view this, will watch this, and will be convinced that this community, that we have taken a turn. And they will be right in this one thing, in that the turn that we have taken is to be reconnected, to be tethered again. Why? So that our sole purpose on this plane of consciousness is to remember. Shout out to Dr. Jamie Edie Chisholm and her remembering circles, is to remember. That's why Dr. Black is so powerful, because his work is a remembering, Ashe. That's why you are so moved when you read the words, because it is a remembering. My God, today. Hey! Glory. So go about this week remembering. If you're at Proctor, member. Wherever you are, remember. Now, today, don't be alarmed when you see the signs. Open your eyes. When you smell the smells, those very familiar smells that remind you of some moment in time when some ancestor engaged you. So don't be alarmed, because we've put the call out. And one thing that our elder Mama Etiari teaches us is that don't call on the ancestors and not expect them to come. Woo! T. Renee said, Mommy came to me in my dreams last night, and I have been seeking to know what she is protecting me from and assuring me of. Look at this, T. Renee. Look. Yeah. When you make your cup of coffee, make your ancestor one too. And just sit and listen. And sometimes it may not even be a want of anything. It could possibly be just a simple connection. I just want to let you know that I'm here. Ashe. I want to let you know that I'm present, that I'm watching over you. Ashe. And some of us need that right now. We are at crossroads. Crossroads aren't bad. We've been taught to see them as problematic. Crossroads are really moments of possible freedom, and it's only possible freedom if we actually engage and cross over. I'm done, y'all. I'm heading over to the clearing. For those of you who would like to join us, the link is here. Come on over. Thank you so much for always being present. Remember to get your book, Black on Black by Dr. Daniel Black. Start reading it. Be ready. He will be with us. So be ready to engage with your questions, and we will be present. Thank you, as always, for those of you who share with us in giving and supporting this work. Thank you. You can share with us at Pink Road Chronicles via PayPal, at Venmo on Melva-Sampson. All right, y'all. Next week, God willing, in the creek don't